in today's culture, it just seems like so oftentimes it's just more. There's so much great stuff going on. There's also so much consumerism this time of year around the holidays. Today's class is all about how to trim your traditions, how to make more room for the things that really matter to you this holiday season. And we're so happy to have Brooke Romney here to teach that class. She is such a gifted writer and teacher and speaker, and we are so happy that she's going to be here to talk to us about how to trim our holiday tradition.
Hey there, I am Brooke Romney with Brooke Romney Writes, and I am so excited to be on Seasons of Renewal today. This is one of my very favorite accounts, and I think it's amazing what Jamie and Shannon have done to help give us information and inspiration. And if you guys are anything like me, about mid-November, you become magical mom. There are so many great ideas and traditions, and you're all excited, and you hear something your friend is doing, and you try to incorporate that. You see things on Pinterest, and you want to do that because you are dedicated to making sure that your kids have the most magical December Christmas experience ever. Well, this is always how I've been too. And then a couple of years ago, I was planning and working so hard, and by December 5th, I was exhausted, and I actually had no Christmas spirit left in me, and the rest of the month was a bit of drudgery. I didn't like it. I was grumpy. I was overdone. My kids weren't really that into it, and I thought, I am never going to let that happen again. Christmas is my favorite time of year, and I just don't want it to be that way again. And so the next year, my husband and I changed quite a few things in our family, and it has made a huge difference. So today I'm going to share with you how to trim your traditions so that you can become a participant in the festivities, not just the orchestrator of them, so that you don't end up being a grumpy martyr mom, and you end up being the happy, enjoyable, present mom that I'm sure everyone wants to be. So I have about 8 suggestions that really helped us to enjoy our holidays and put me back in the Christmas spirit. And I'm going to share them with you right now. So the first thing that my husband and I did was the week of Thanksgiving, or sometimes just right after Thanksgiving, we would sit down and we would talk about the couple things we knew that we wanted to exist in our December. And so often, because we're adults, those were spiritual things. They were service-oriented things. We made sure to plug those into our calendar first thing, so that we didn't get all the way to mid-December and think, oh, we never got to do those things that are actually really important to our family. So we plugged those in. The second thing we did was we looked at all of the events that we had to be at, whether that was for school or sports or church, and we plugged those into our calendar. And then we looked at the days that we had left, and we talked about extended family things. And some of the things we were able to go to, and some of the things just wouldn't work as our kids got older. We tried to do that with a lens of kindness, because we know we will also be grandparents one day who want to gather our family. And so we didn't just say no to everything, but we tried to be at all the things that we could that were important to our family, but we also probably had to say no to a couple of things, depending on how active your family is during the holidays. So once we got our calendar ready and those necessary items plugged in, we gathered our kids together. And this was one of the most important things we did. We went around and we asked each of our kids what was important to them to do during December or during the Christmas holidays. And we talked about the things we'd done in the past. I made a big list of what we had done in years past and asked people to choose 1 or 2 things that were really important to them that made it feel like Christmas for them. And each child gave a thing or 2 that they thought was really important. And we made sure that those things were also on our calendar, because if the kids were doing what was most important to them, then December would feel like Christmas and it would feel magical. What was really interesting about this exercise was that we also found out what was not important to them, and it was really wonderful to give some of those things away. I spent quite a bit of time figuring out a Christmas craft, which I don't even like doing, and I found out that my kids don't like to do that either. And so I was able to give up the Christmas craft, and that took a lot of work and pressure off me. So that was kind of fun. So I think you'll be surprised at what actually doesn't matter to your kids, and maybe what really does matter to your kids. So after that, after we got their items on our calendar, we had our December planned. And then comes the personal work that you need to do. And so once you've got that planned, and once it looks good and everyone has what's important to them happening in December, you have to stop worrying about the things that you're not doing. And this takes actually a lot of mental effort, because you are going to see 1,000 great ideas. You're going to see incredible traditions. You're going to wish that you were doing more giving or more fun. But remember that you plugged your items into the calendar, that's what you have time and energy for, and that's what you're going to stick with. And so you need to be excited about the things you are doing instead of worried about the things that you are not doing. And that is key during December. The next thing that I had to do was I had to be okay with change. My kids were getting a little older, and so some of our nights were busy doing sports, and some of them were busy doing school things, and sometimes they wanted to go out with their friends on a weekend. And so that was really hard to start being okay with change. And maybe change means that you have less money this year. Maybe change means you moved away from family and there's less going on. Maybe it means that your kids are getting older and they just don't want to be there for all of the things that you want them to be there for. So I had to be okay with change. So for instance, instead of waiting for everyone to come see Santa, I took my little one who actually cares about seeing Santa. I took him on a night when most of the boys were off hanging out with friends. And it was a little sad. I'm going to admit it was a little bit sad, but my little one still got to see Santa, and I had to be okay with the fact that life and times and our seasons are changing. So that's really important. The next thing that we decided to do was we decided to not be so traditional in what we do. We didn't have to go to the same play. We didn't have to do the same type of service project. We didn't have to do the same spiritual activity that we always do. Instead, we gave ourselves categories. And so these categories allowed us a lot of flexibility. I have a husband who does not like doing the same thing every year, and I am kind of a stickler for traditions. And so this allowed us to meet in the middle. So we always do something with music. We always do something that is spiritual. We always do something that's fun. We always do something that gathers people. But because we had just those categories, we allowed ourselves some breathing room to do something different. So maybe we saw a different musical experience. Maybe we did a different spiritual experience, but we still had those things that are important that I hope my kids can look back on and remember that about Christmas at our home. This is also really awesome because it allows you to add new items into your Christmas calendar without being completely overwhelmed and filling up every single minute of every single day. And so sometimes there's something new that you think you just have to try out. But if you put it, in December, that means you don't have room for something else, and that's okay. So sometimes that means taking something out and replacing it with something else that is also really great. If you don't like it, then next year go back to your tried and true activities that you know you love. The next thing I did that year that was super important that I've continued to do is to give myself some room to enjoy the holidays. So I don't have to schedule every single day and every minute. I loved that one night we were able to be spontaneous and we watched a Hallmark Christmas movie together. I love that there's times at night for me to read a book to my little guy with a Christmas story, but that I don't have to read a book every single night. I also really love that I can just be present without worrying about all of the wrapping and the to-do lists. Some nights, because we're not so busy, I've been able to just enjoy the activity that we're at, because I am positive that your kids will look back and be more concerned about having a happy present mom than they are about a tradition a day. And so if you can do a tradition a day and be a happy present mom, awesome. If you can't, that's okay too, but scale things back so that it's a really doable way for you to actually enjoy the time with your family. And to go along with that, bring them into the loop. Have them help so that you're not stuck wrapping every neighbor's gift, or so that you're not stuck wrapping every child's gift. Allow them to pitch in so that you have a little bit more time to be spontaneous, to be fun, to be part of the festivities instead of just the orchestrator of them. Another thing we did that year was we decided to simplify some things. So as we saw all of the items that we had on our calendar, what we tried to do was we tried to double some of them up if we could. So we went downtown and we did like 3 or 4 things that day. And then in the name of simplification also, we decided to simplify other things. So instead of me producing a gigantic hot chocolate bar, we just did hot chocolate in the microwave and put some candy cane and marshmallows in them, and that was it. And that simplified it for me. You might love doing things big, but you can't do everything big. So pick and choose in a way that will allow you to have a really good time, still create the memories, still have the traditions, but also be able to enjoy them at the same time. And the last piece of advice that is probably my favorite piece of advice is that sometimes the tradition is just being together. So in December and during the holidays, we really try our best to have a lot of together moments. And so this sometimes means thinking out of the box. Last year, my husband decided to get basketball tickets during December, and he didn't let me know that was happening. And so he told me that we were going to a college rivalry basketball game on a Saturday in December. And I was actually so unhappy about it. I was really grumpy. I said, are you kidding me? This is a December Saturday. This isn't Christmassy at all. But I have 4 boys, and we went anyway. And it was the best night. We were laughing, we were joking, we were cheering for our favorite teams. We went out to dinner before, and as we were leaving, it was snowing, and my boys were slipping and sliding and having the best time ever. And it was really probably my most magical Christmas moment of the year. And so have room for some flexibility to enjoy that moment. It doesn't always have to be prescribed or exactly what you hoped it would be. Sometimes the tradition is just being together. And with you enjoying it, it makes all of the difference. So I'm super glad for that memory that I have at Christmas. I hope these ideas were really helpful for you, that will allow you to feel like you can celebrate, that you can enjoy, that you can have fun, that you can spend your time where it's most useful and where it's most necessary and where it's most deliberate, so that you can get the Christmas that you want out of yourself, out of your kids, out of your family, and make it one to remember.